Cool. So final video, I'm going to show you a robot called Optimus by Elon Musk and Tesla, which was this year. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Let's have a chat. It's quite a long video, so I'm going to show part of it and skip some of it as well. This is at Tesla AI Day recently. And there, I kind of want to say he is, but there it is, I suppose. I don't know, robots probably can't identify, can they? Gender-wise yet. So obviously this is a lot clunkier than perhaps some of the other ones, but Elon's really trying to get this to mass production. He wants to produce millions of these and sell them at a fairly affordable price point, which we'll talk about in a second. He revealed this robot in a prank. I think it was like the year before, where he came out dressed as a robot and then took off the helmet. Obviously, that's not him. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe Elon's a robot this whole time. He's either a Martian or a robot, right? Okay, so it can walk. It can dance, kind of. I guess that is probably how Elon would dance if he could dance. Okay, and now I'll show you what this can be used for. You know, we talk about what's the use case for that. You know, why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? This one, you know, Elon tends to think practical, right? How do I make money out of this? How do I use this to solve a problem? So here's what this one could do. Okay, so warehouse, for example, common application. That's what the robot's seeing right now through computer vision.
Yeah, we wanted to show a little bit more what we've done over the
And obviously,
just
you know, you could have one of these perhaps in an office doing a lot of the boring work, which nobody's interested in.
So this is kind of what I had in mind, right?
Yeah.
In order to have robots everywhere, they need to have some kind of a use, right?
Yeah.
Someone has to purchase it and pay money for it and then use it. And a robot that can do things like lifting,
Yeah.
that's useful.
Yes. Yes.
Face expressions, like you said, it's nice to have, but not necessarily mandatory, right?
What about if we just combine the tech? What about if we give this skin, we give this face expressions, it looks like a normal person walking around, so it's a little bit less intimidating. You know, just combine the three ideas together.
Yeah, that would definitely work. Yeah, that's definitely a great idea.
It's the sort of thing where if we look at it through just, hey, here's one product which is being developed, it almost doesn't make sense. But when you combine them all together, you can see the value potentially. But yeah, what do you think of this robot, man?
With facial expression, it has got a decent, let's say, level of movement that you can almost say that, okay, it's human, it's not doing things too fast, too slow.
Okay.
But then I do, again, agree with what Adrian is saying, that we need to understand where we can use them, and whether or not it's affordable to, let's say, use them for a prolonged duration. And another thing which I don't think anyone can say for sure is that whether or not the general population would accept them as a, let's say, like an assistant to their day-to-day lives, or like even if it's in an office, in a shopping center. Interestingly,
You could argue though, you've got Siri, you've got Alexa. Do you accept that as an assistant?
it is already here, but we are talking about kind of robot.
Sure.
They're kind of
When you can see it, it's different, right?
Yeah, they don't have this humanoid-like appearance. What I was thinking is that the robots do bring an interesting point. They actually open up the possibilities of having more employment in a different direction. So you can perhaps seek employment about doing things around robots.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just recognizing some of these things, and again finding a purpose for them, making sure the general population accepts them.
Yeah. I've heard the
So,
argument.
yeah.
Yeah, like people are terrified that it's going to replace warehouse jobs or self-driving cars, get rid of Uber drivers, but you then create jobs for developers and data scientists and machine learning experts and so on. It does make sense, in my opinion, for Tesla to and for Elon to do this under Tesla, and for Tesla to get into robots, because if you think about it, a Tesla is basically a robot already. It's self-driving, it's powered by AI, it's using electricity to power the thing. It's basically a robot. So if I say Tesla could be one of the major robotics makers in 5-10 years, I mean, they already are if you look at it from that perspective. But would that be far-fetched to say, do you think, Adrian? Or do you think that would
I mean,
make sense?
isn't this Elon's yet another plan to move to Mars, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
Yes.
the conditions on Mars are going to be horrible for humans, and being able to create robots that can replicate, well, everything that we can, that can do what we can do, right? You can just send loads of them there and
Really interesting.
create a settlement. I think that this is probably his partial plan for the colonization of Mars, and so obviously it's going to help us a lot as well. But I can definitely see where there's going to be plenty of people which are going to be against this, because let's say a robot is caring about your mother, and someone decides to hack it and be abusive towards your mother, for example, right? Because so there's a lot of that. We don't like to be controlled, and this is just another way where things could go wrong, and we could be controlled by a robot, right? You're not going to be stronger than a robot, and imprisoning you in your own house. There's definitely going to be people that have that mentality, right? And so there's definitely a lot of worries in regards to that. But I mean, I would love to have a robot like that. Although I know it's probably not going to be the case of us purchasing that robot and using it. It's probably going to be on like a subscription basis of some sort. Right?
Well, that's the way to keep investors happy. Keep the money pouring in each month. If you think about it and take a step backwards, you could argue that everything Elon is doing is to get us to Mars, because when you go to Mars, there's no plug. You can't just plug something in, right? So he did Solar City to create the solar panels, which would then power things. You then got Teslas, so then you can suddenly move around and drive around. He's doing the Boring Company, so then you can dig underground. It's hot up there. You need to dig underground and build areas where you can actually live. And then you got the robots doing the grunt work and everything else, and obviously SpaceX to take us there. And his vision is to, in his lifetime, send hundreds of people to Mars, where the chances are they'll probably die. And he's said that he's going to sign up to this as well, and he's going for it. And but if you're going to die on Earth, maybe you could die on Mars, and it'll be more fun and pushing the human race forward a little bit more. Would you be open to signing up, going to Mars if you had a ticket, knowing what I've just told you?
If I didn't have to pay any mortgage, sure.
I mean, why would you care about your house when you're never going to come back, right?
Yeah, I'd want to do it if I was a little bit older, because it's not great quality of life over there.
Well, I mean, but think about it, right? I mean, a few years back, I had this, when the first time I heard Elon Musk saying that we're going to go to Mars, I had this mentality where I would love to go. It would be fantastic there. But to be honest with you, it's not like you're not going on holiday, let's face it, right? And the conditions there are not going to be as pleasant as here on Earth, right? So, and I love nature, and I love trees and everything kind of around us. So, if I would love to go there for a month, and then come back. If I won't come back, then probably not, because
you probably won't be able to at first. I mean, I know the rockets can land themselves now, but it's just realistically, you'll probably go and die there. What about from a price point, right? Elon reckons he can sell millions of these, and it will cost less than $20,000 to buy one. Okay, how much is it to employ somebody every single year? You've got to pay a salary. You've got that person takes holidays and they get sick. They show up late. They complain. They can't work 24/7. And if you've got a robot instead that you can hire, and it can work 24/7, and it doesn't need any breaks, and you just need the occasional, I want to say oil change, but not really an oil change in Elon's case, that could cause millions of people to lose jobs. Obviously, like I said, it can create a lot of jobs as well, but it's hard to get a truck driver to start writing in Ruby. It's just realistically? Is that person even going to want to do that, or should we require people to? I don't think so. But what do you think of kind of everything I've just said there? $20,000. If they can make that, do you think that will have a big impact on the world?
You almost answered your own question in sort of way that some people would be, am I gonna be useful to the society or not? Am I contributing in any way? Do I want to learn how to write things in Ruby and fix this robot, right? And I still believe that there are immediate use cases, because if you think about the lessons we learned over the last 2 years, we didn't have the provisions for, let's say, controlling chaos and like controlling a completely uncontrollable situation with pandemics and things. And if that thing strikes third time this world, would we wish that we have, the robots were there?
Yeah.
Like, maybe. And that is probably what we need to do first, to understand, okay, if I'm going to be spending $20,000 to get somebody who is not going to be sick, not going to be complaining, and going to be doing exactly what they're meant to be doing,
Sure.
then what will be the use cases? Yeah. And then I believe the answer would be yes, the $20,000 are
People will
very
do it.
well spent.
I think they will, because a company's job is to make the shareholders money.
Yep.
Although if they do it incrementally over a period of time, right?
Yeah.
So I think in some way this should be kind of like a red flag or warning sign for everyone in the current society, where they should take into account that certain jobs are going to be replaced. So you have, a certain amount of years to potentially start thinking about. I mean, we as a human race, we are very good at adopting, right? So why don't we all kind of have a bit of reflection and think about the fact that soon we're going to have to kind of change. And if you're going to uni and or if you're studying anything, or if you're getting some kind of a profession, I mean, I'm not sure how great robots would be in, I don't know, renovating a house, for example, right? You need a bit of kind of skill, and at the beginning it's definitely not going to be a great quality of work.
Yeah.
In saying that, also having robots replacing loads of humans, I mean, we need to have a purpose in life. If we don't, we become depressed. We don't want to, people that don't have a purpose in life, start having addictions, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So, being suicidal and that kind of stuff. So mental health problems, a lot of them, I believe, are caused because of lack of purpose. And if these robots just out of nowhere appear from one year to another without us slowly kind of adopting to the new changes, there's going to be a lot of mental health problems out there for us to deal with.
Well, yeah, if you don't have something to get up each day, a challenge to work towards, something that excites you, then you spiral. And if I have white space in my calendar, I end up just messing around and doing stuff which is not leading me towards my goals. Okay, what about people that would make the argument that we could free up all the mundane, boring tasks of the world, all the stuff that causes risks to health and safety, and then that gives you time as a person, more time to do more creative endeavors. You can create art and music and enrich the world with beauty, whereas the tech then creates the left brain science and it allows you to fill in the blanks and fill in the color really with what the robots build. Do you see that as something that could work for people, or do you think some people just too much free time, they wouldn't spend time on those things, they would get addicted to things, and
or even spending time with your family, right?
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, I love to occasionally take a day out and go for a hike and just even cut myself out, and so I live in Southampton near New Forest, and I often go into New Forest and just go for a walk. And it's nice to kind of unwind a bit. So I feel like having more time, at least if I had a day less every single week, I would definitely utilize it to either improve myself or at least spend time with my friends, family, or even go for a walk by myself. That would definitely help me personally.
Yeah. Okay. What about from your side, Mano? Do you think taking away people's challenge that they have each day could cause problems, or do you think that could potentially, free up people to kind of live their true selves?
It has to be a balance from my side. So what I mean is that some people, their purpose, they get bored quite easily. They like a challenge, but they also at the same time like a balance between like doing challenging things and maybe doing mundane things. So it's their way of unwinding from all these things. But as long as we keep a good balance, for example, what Adrian said is that I would probably want to work, I don't know, maximum 4 days a week or 3 days a week. So the 2 other days, if the robot can take over, be that my challenging or mundane task, then I know that those 2 days I can decide whether I want to dedicate 100% to my family, spend quality time, or actually doing something to keep myself happy. Yeah. And even if that means I just want to watch football games, or I want to play video games, that's fine. But if my mental health is maintained in that way, so that kind of gets a good balance. That what Adrian also said, that like, if we just have everybody doing everything like from the robotic community, then we will see mental health issues possibly. So
not just mental health. You've seen WALL-E, the movie WALL-E? Yeah, that's like the worst example. Everyone's obese and in chairs and just sitting there, and everything is getting done for them. But what were you going to say, sorry?
And I kind of agree with this. But I have had this kind of thought. If we did have robots, right, and we managed to kind of implement 4 days a week, 3 days a week, right, and that extra day that people would have on certain jobs, they could take on a hobby. There's certain jobs, and some people might be potentially struggling financially in some sort of jobs, right, that potentially the jobs that will be the first ones to be replaced, right? So if now you pay these people a bit more for 4 days or 3 days a week, now they have more time, so they could spend that extra day or two on finding a certain hobby which they always wanted to do but didn't have enough money or time to do it, right? So yeah, we could potentially kind of add robots incrementally and then kind of replace what people kind of do with their time within a week.
Okay. All right, let's rate Mr. Musk's robot. Let's rate, what's he called? It was Optimus. We've got 6.
6 as well.
6. We've got 12. So Elon wins. Well done. Well done, Elon. We have Sophia on 8, Amica on 9, and Optimus on 12. Okay. Why do you think Optimus got the most votes?
Well, because I still believe that robots should be a tool, and it looks like this robot is maybe not there yet, but it's going to be able to help us with carrying things or doing things like that. I still feel like facial expressions are just nice to have rather than any like proper use case for it.
Okay. Why do you think Optimus won?
I thought that the technological advancement that Tesla has demonstrated, I mean, they have got the biggest problem solved nearly, which is like the longevity of the electrical system. So they've got the the battery solutions, the renewable energy stuff. The robot looks like it's a robot, so it looks like a tool. Facial expression is nice to have, but not like the most critical thing. I believe all in all, this robot has a good chance of succeeding in its purpose. Yeah. So that's why I decided to put it on the 6.
Okay. So final question, same question as I asked to the other robotics panel. Elon actually recently said that he is very concerned about AI and thinks it's a bigger threat to humanity than nuclear weapons, potentially. Are you two at all worried about AI becoming too advanced, and then we have a Terminator type situation where they develop consciousness, so they become sentient? I mean, who knows what consciousness is? Can we replicate it, or is it uniquely biological? But what happens if the computers wake up one day and they don't want to take orders anymore, and suddenly they want to be in charge? I mean, realistically, that Optimus robot could probably take you out if it wanted to. No offense.
I mean, isn't that his reasoning behind Neuralink?
Yeah, the chip in your brain.
I've been told. I mean, I don't remember if this is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard some time ago where the reason why he developed Neuralink was because he went, he had meetings with government representatives of big companies, and he was very against artificial intelligence, and he was really worried about it. So no one listened to him. So he created. Well, he didn't create. He took an idea that was already there, which is Neuralink, in order to kind of give us allow us to use artificial intelligence as a tool. So it's a chip that connects to your brain, right? And so we could potentially become smarter. Well, at least use artificial intelligence so it won't imprison us. Using artificial intelligence as a tool via a chip in our brain. And so we will become smarter as humans by using this extra tool within our brain rather than it imprisoning us. Because at the end of the day, I mean, everyone knows the fact that, we as humans, we do unthinkable things and then horrible things to each other. And obviously, if artificial intelligence does become big enough, it's just going to control us because the stuff that we do is horrible sometimes to each other.
Yeah, no, you're right in the context. I think he told Obama and his team, it was a couple of presidents ago, and they didn't seem to care about regulation in this area. I mean, they're busy with other things, I suppose. But if you can't beat them, join them, fuse with it. That's what the futurist Ray Kurzweil believes. He believes that we'll ultimately become the machines. We will, when you have an arm a robot arm, because if you're a soldier and you get your arm blown off, you can go and get a robotic arm put on right now, and it's okay. But what happens when that robot arm becomes better than a human arm, and you can reach across the table and grab a glass of water, or you can get legs which you can run twice as fast? Will people then upgrade themselves intentionally, perhaps? And then obviously Neuralink being the final piece of that puzzle and doing it with the brain.
I actually have a friend that had some kind of knee problems. He actually had a surgery on them. Okay. And he actually got frustrated because he was in pain a bit, right? And he, I think he said it as a bit of a joke, to be honest with you, but he said that it would be great for him to be able to just cut his legs off and have a robotic leg because his knees was hurting at that point, right? And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people to even have healthy legs and healthy limbs, and they're just going to choose a robotic arm or just because it's easier for them. Yeah. There's plenty of people that are going to do that. I'm definitely sure about that.
You can get a heart which makes you live twice as long. I mean, well,
that's already there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are obviously there's lots of cons to this. From religious views to just in terms of managing the human population and whatnot. But getting back to my previous question, Anna, what's your take on? Is Elon potentially right in this? Could we be in a situation where computers become sentient and then suddenly we're no longer in charge?
It depends on the regulations and control, and you're quite right in saying that if something is not on fire, why try and put insurance against it, right? So that's why probably he wasn't taken seriously. Where I'm standing, it's very difficult to actually say that I don't or I do trust that the artificial intelligence becomes sentient enough to take control. But I will say that we have to have a human or a group of human controllers behind these things as a safety measure at all times if we want this thing to succeed the way we want them to succeed, because otherwise it actually brings questions on our accountability. So that because these machines are, I mean, in my mind, they are always going to be things that we humans have built, we have built. So if we don't take accountability for the things that we do, and as Adrian said, that we already do so many horrible things to ourselves, and this is just going to be another item in the list. But the impact of this is going to be unthinkable. Yeah.
If there's millions of these in the world, and they get hacked, and then the code tells them to attack any human you know, it's got the computer vision. It could see that. Could that be a possibility?
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I have this theory. So you know Neuralink, right?
Sure.
There's these talks, and I've heard. I'm not sure if it's Elon that mentioned this, but the possibilities of you potentially being able to communicate via that device with someone else, or maybe even accessing their memories or storing your memories, right? Aren't we becoming like a single organism? Because imagine if every single human being had that device and we were able to do that, which I'm not sure if we will be able in the future, but if that is the case, right? Aren't we like a single brain in some kind of way?
So you're saying we're the caterpillar and the technology is the cocoon, and when we fuse them together, we get the butterfly.
Yeah, in some way, right? We'll be able to potentially control robots, like, you know, all of our, because if I can access your memories and everything that's stored on your kind of chip or your brain, and you can do the same thing to me, then we're kind of like a same organism, right?
Yeah.
In some way, right? The same processing power. And so we could be able to use and connect that to robots, and then we would be able to control robots with our mind in some way, right? So yes, that's true. And there are obviously going to be people which could potentially hack these robots. But I think it's an interesting subject, right? Because I think security is going to be quite an interesting subject soon, where quantum computers are going to become something that you can purchase yourself, right? They're very expensive now, but you know, all of the encryption, all of the passwords, and everything that's there, that's going to there's going to have to be a new kind of some kind of a security protocols in order to kind of ensure that we're not vulnerable. However, how many people are going to have these quantum computers at the beginning, right?
Yeah. You mentioned a minute ago, Manor, about humans need to regulate these robots. What happens if it becomes so advanced that it can write its own code? Right now, we write the code that determines what the robot does. What happens if the robot decides to change that and it's now in control and the regulation doesn't work because the robot's the one that makes the decisions? Do you see that as a possibility potentially?
Yes and no, just like anything that has a 50-50 possibility. One of the things that I think we can think about is that we have watched 3 videos over the last kind of half an hour, 40 minutes. But one of the things that we probably, let's say, could take a lesson from is that now that we have seen how a full robot looks like, are we still interested to have a micro version of this robot doing more useful things and have macro impact and maintain security and the regulations? Or do we really want one of them in homes and offices? Because if you made an interesting point about the hearts, right? If you really had a robotic heart, which I don't know how it's gonna really code itself, but if it could actually reduce your, let's say, heart disease, possibility to, I don't know, something to near to zero. So, and also if it kind of, finds a way to genetically repair certain things within you, wouldn't that answer a lot of, let's say, worrying questions for like the parents, and then make sure that the human race actually advances in a much more, let's say, I don't know, gratifying way. So I would probably think like that as well, that we shouldn't probably dismiss it completely. But yes, 50-50 is, I would say 50-50 is the chance that it might take control, it might not.
There is the worry that if you have millions and millions of people with robotic hearts, what if they get hacked? And what if they get turned off? I think to summarize the discussion today, I think this tech has the potential to either completely change the world for the good or we'll destroy ourselves. And it's probably not going to take too long for us to find out the answer. So this episode will either age amazingly or there'll be no one left to watch it.
Sure. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. We pray. Mr. Musk, please figure out a way to make them all nice and kind to us. Yeah. Okay.
So, perhaps think of tweeting about it.
Yeah, you could tweet about it. Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video. If you want to see more like this, please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.